Are sit-ups and crunches not your thing? Yanking on your neck? Making you very unhappy? You might want to watch this. So why do we do sit-ups? Why do we do crunches? Because we're told we need to strengthen our core. We're told maybe we want that six-pack. I'll never forget when my daughter came home from school one day and said, "Mom, I want a six-pack." She did it as a joke. I was, "What?" And then she explained it was because she wanted her abs to look like they were rock hard and very well defined in the front of her body. So why do we want that? Well, it's considered attractive. We all want to look better. We all want to feel like we look our best. But most of us want to feel good. Most of us, especially if we're getting up there in years, want to move well. We don't want pain when we move, and we don't want to lose our balance. We don't want to lose our posture. We don't want to get shorter. There's a lot of things we don't want as we get older. So what do we want? Let's look on the flip side of that, the positive side of that. We want a strong body. We want a body that performs the way we need it to perform in real life, whether we're digging a new vegetable garden, or we're taking a hike on our favorite trail, or we're down on the floor playing with our grandchildren, or we're doing some heavy spring cleaning in the house and we're climbing under the bed to clean things and scrub things out and organize and lift and work. And there's a lot of things in life that require strength and stability. Now, the core is a big part of that. However, it's not really accurate understanding, or I should say a complete understanding of the core when we focus just on the abdominals. The abdominal muscle's job is to keep you stable when you're upright. The abdominal muscle's job is more about stability than it is, getting stronger and bigger. It doesn't really hypertrophy the way other muscles do. You're not going to get your abs to blow up like your quads will. So hopefully that's making sense. So what's the best way to train them so that we don't end up hurting ourselves, so we don't end up yanking on our neck? And I want to ask you now, yes, when you're getting out of bed, it's important that you're able to sit up. It's important. I mean, I've worked with people in a hospital setting where you set them on the edge of the bed and they are so weakened, their postural muscles, their stabilizing ability is so depleted that it takes two people to literally hold them up. They're like a rag doll, but a heavy rag doll. And I don't mean, just because they're overweight, even a small person. They're like a rag doll and they're falling all over the place. So you'll have a therapist behind them and a therapist in front of them, or one to either side and one behind, to hold this person up and start to get those muscles engaged again because they've been lying down for so long. So it's important that we're able to sit up easily. So, if I'm lying down on my back, I want to be able to get up without any issues. But does that require me to repetitively do, this, where I'm really working? Now, this is a correct way to do a crunch so that you don't injure yourself. I'm not lifting with my head. I'm not pulling my head up. I'm using this part of my body to lift me toward the ceiling. But a lot of people end up injuring themselves when they do that because they are yanking on their neck, because they don't have the ability to do that. Now, why would that be not a necessarily healthy thing to do? It's because what you're doing is you're shortening those muscles against gravity, which does make them work harder, but you're not capitalizing on that beautiful eccentric load that I teach about all the time. That eccentric load is when the muscles get longer under tension. So a really good way to load those muscles would be more upright, which I'll show you in a moment, and get them longer going backwards to load that anterior chain, load the front of the body, load the core in a way that's authentic, in a way that we use the body every day. So you're much less likely to injure your neck because you're not yanking on your head. You're not just trying to shorten the muscle, and the abs are going, well, yeah, we can do this, but why are we doing this? They're a little confused and wondering why you're training like that. And yeah, we'll give people those six packs, those rock hard abs. But then again, you know, those people tend to be doing a lot of other things. They're not just doing core. And so I want to show you some other things that you can do in this part of the video that will really work the core and really get you stronger and make you feel a lot more stable. And I'm going to show you while I'm down here. And then I'm going to show you some things that you can do in standing. So first off, one of my favorites is to do a workout with planks. And I'm not talking just hanging out there and counting for 30 seconds or 90 seconds or 2 minutes. And that's beautiful. If you can hold a plank for 2 minutes, yes, you develop some good endurance, but let's load and unload the muscles in a plank in a way that allows your body to train and improve your core, the function, your stability, your strength overall throughout the body. And so let me show you a couple of ways you can do that. Now, you know I'm always teaching that you drive the motion, and ideally you're doing it in all three planes of motion. So a really good way to do this is to drive with your pelvis when you do this. So I'm going to turn this a little bit sideways, and I'm going to show you how this can be done. Now, planks, ideally you would want to be down on your elbows and you would be straight out. But if you want to do it with motion, that's a lot more effective at building core, is you would drive with the pelvis. And this is sagittal plane motion where you're going forward. Now there's also frontal plane motion where you're going to go sideways. And there's transverse plane motion where you will rotate. Now, if you do a workout driving your pelvis and you do 10 reps in all three planes of motion, you're going to feel like, whoa, my core just got a really good workout. Now, if you're just starting out and you're attempting to restore, then you might want to go slower. Just do 3 repetitions in each plane of motion. But do them consistently, regularly, maybe even a couple of times a day because you're only doing 3 repetitions. And do it daily, and you will see, 2 days from now, I can do 4 or 5 repetitions now. And then, 7 or 8 repetitions and get to your 10. That's a great way. Now, there are other ways that you can do it as well by moving your arms, by moving your legs, but I want to get you started somewhere in this. Now, another thing that you can do is you can do side planks, which are here. And this is where you are literally on your feet and you are lifting yourself up. And now we can drive the pelvis in all 3 planes in this position as well. Now, this can aggravate some people's shoulders. So you might not want to start there, especially if you've got a shoulder issue. But it's another way to work the core, still driving with the pelvis. Now you can also move legs, you can move arm, you can do all kinds of things in the side plank position. If you're someone who has scoliosis, a side plank has been shown in the data to improve curvature by up to 30-something%. So side planks can be very beneficial. But if we're talking core, that is another way to work core. Okay, now let me show you how to load core in standing. So now I'm going to show you in standing a beautiful way to load the core. And you can use a Theraband, you can use a hand weight, I'll show you both. But you also, you can use no weight at all if you're just starting out and you're getting used to this. But the goal, as you all know, I love to teach that eccentric loading. So if we're going to eccentrically load the anterior chain or get the front of the body to get longer under tension as you go backward, Now, obviously, if you're very, very weakened condition and you're at risk of falling backward, then I highly recommend you start off with a wall behind you and you do your work. There's a lot of really beginner moves that you can do, but this is a nice easy one where I'm reaching up and I'm tapping with my hands, and go as far in front of the wall as you can to create that lean back. And you can turn your hands however you want, depending if you've got shoulder issues. Palms facing each other tends to be good for the shoulders, but that's a good way to start. But I'm going to show some of you who, you may have a little bit more ability, and so you'll get a little more out of this, although you'll notice that's a great warm-up. So if you've got a Theraband, and if you put it at about waist height, typically that's good. So I recommend you can put a knot in the end of the Theraband and lay it over a doorknob and shut the door. Make sure the door isn't going to pop open on you, and make sure that someone's not going to open the door on you. And also make sure when you shut the door that the Theraband is not against the little push part of the door that latches, because it'll cut it up. But put it there, lay it across the door, and shut the door. So now it's at about waist height. And even if you're really tall or really short, it's close enough. And what you're going to do is you're going to get this Theraband to put it over your head. Now, the goal here is not to have your arms do work, because this would just be, this would kind of be an interesting shoulder workout. But what you're going to do, I like to open it up so it doesn't cut into my hands at all. What you're going to do is you're going to come forward enough where you really feel like this band just wants to pull me backward. And I'm fighting against that. So I'm using the front of my body right now, my core, from my nose to my toes. And you want to have your arms kind of locked in one position. So I'm going to keep my arms just like this so that they're right next to my ears. And now, as I lean back, I feel the front of my body really load, and then I come back to start. Now I'm going to come forward a little more because I want to feel a little more oomph here. And so I'm going to lean back and feel that load and come back to start. Now you can do this in your feet side by side. And I know I'm not sure if you can see my feet right now, but they're either side by side, or you can put one foot forward. And if I put one foot forward, it's, maybe a good stride length forward. And most of my weight is on the leg that didn't go forward, and I'm keeping that leg nice and straight. And now when I do this, I'm getting more load on the left front hip muscles, which always need to get longer with all the sitting that we do. And I'm still loading my anterior chain, or the front of my body, in a beautiful, healthy, authentic way. And then I would switch sides and make sure I get the other side as well. You can use a hand weight to do this. And just I would recommend you wouldn't start off with a really heavy weight at first, especially if you're new at this. And it's the same thing. I can stand with my feet side by side. I can take the hand weight, and I can keep my arms in that nice position right there, locked next to my ears, and I lean backward. And then I come back up to straight. So what this is doing is this is lengthening, or getting the front of the body longer under tension, keeping me from falling backward, which is really ideally the authentic function of the front of the body, to keep you upright and not falling backward. A lot of people, as they age, they tend to lean forward, because if they stand up really straight, they fall backward because they've lost that strength, that endurance, that function of the front of the body. And so this is a great way to restore that if you've lost it, or maintain it if you don't want to lose it, or, just work at getting it stronger. So really great ways to work the core in a way where you're not going to yank on your neck. You're not necessarily having to be on the floor, of course, with the plank work. That's a beautiful way to do it. But you can start off very easy. Just lean back and touch the wall. Do it with your feet side by side. Do it with one foot forward. Do it with the other foot forward. So you're really getting a little more work. You can also rotate. That's another way to really add, because your abdominals love rotation. Your core loves rotation. So how that would work would be, say I've got my right foot forward a little bit. So now if I reach back and bend back and I rotate to the right, that is really working the front of my body in the most authentic way. It is loading and unloading the front of my hip flexors, my left hip, and loading and unloading my abdominals. You're getting your transversus abdominis, you're getting your external and internal. You're getting everything when you do this. And it is the most beautiful way. And then, of course, if I put my left foot forward and my right foot is back, I would use my left arm to do the same thing. So you're rotating as you lean back. It's a great way to train your core without injury, authentically for real life. No matter how old you are, you can do this. Okay? All right. I look forward to the next time I see you. And if you like this, please hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe so that you know when new videos come out about once a week, so you're not overwhelmed. But hopefully you enjoy this, and I look forward to reading your comments below. See you next time.